Hi, Rachel.
Hello. Hey, Nyree, how are you?
I am great. How's it going over there? What time is it for you right now?
Well, it's good. Life is good. Just heard on the news that Putin's thinking about pressing the nuclear button. But apart from that, great.
I'm not going to go there, Rachel.
No. Well, more to the point, let's hope Putin doesn't go there. That's what we're all hoping.
Listen, I want to introduce you to my new podcast. It's called Share a Meal. So it's all the concepts that you and I have been talking about for years, the importance of sitting down together, breaking bread together, what that does for performance for the athletes that you work with, whether it be when they're sitting with their families and what kind of a role you play in that. And then also when they sit with their teams and they're eating as a meal together. So we're just going to have a little chat about that. But before I get into that, I want you to give a brief introduction about yourself, because I think you're fantastic and what you do and, and maybe how you got into what you're doing right now.
Okay, my name is Rachel Muse. I am a performance chef. I'm a private performance chef, which means primarily we cook for elite athletes in their own homes, for one family, one athlete and their family, not for teams. We do cook for some teams, but that's not the main focus of what we do. I got into it because I graduated.
Rachel, you're not giving her this. I'm gonna totally pump you up a little bit. I'm gonna break in here, and you know that's my style. But who are you working with? Don't tell us any names, but come on, tell us who you're working with, because it's super imperative.
Primarily the English Premier League, teams in the English Premier League, also some other sports, some other countries, but primarily footballers who are playing in the Premier League in England.
And you are making meals for them in their houses.
Correct.
But it's players who would play for, and I'm just throwing out a random name out there, but Liverpool or Chelsea or Arsenal, you are the person who is in their houses preparing meals for their families.
Correct. That's us. I can't name names because that's not the business that we're in.
That's what we love you for.
Okay, there are plenty of people. There are plenty of people who do talk about their clients. We never do. Very occasionally, our clients talk about us. We never talk about our clients. We say everybody who works in the high net worth world. We all say those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. We keep quiet. We protect people's privacy because everyone is entitled to a private life. Doesn't matter what you do for your profession. At home, it should be private. Yeah. And that's what we do. And I also say when I'm training people, because it's not just me, there's a whole team of chefs. I say when I'm training people, in English, we say private chef. Private comes before chef because private is actually more important than chef. You can be the best chef in the world. If you're going to talk, you're of no use to anybody. It's about a bond of trust and privacy,
because you are in their private lives. This isn't even the training center. You are in that home life environment where you might be feeding some athletes who are single, but some who also have small kids who don't want anything about their kids out there either, right?
Absolutely.
So you get to see the daily, what goes on in the family.
Absolutely.
And you are providing their main meal for them, that dinner time, supper time meal for this entire family.
Yes, sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes we do breakfast, lunch and dinner. Sometimes we do lunch and dinner. Sometimes we do breakfast and dinner. But invariably, it does involve what they eat in the evening. And I would like to say that an important part of what we do is we're not just cooking what we think. Absolutely not. We cook, we are like the bridge between the nutritionist on this side and the athlete on this side. We are the bridge that joins the two together, because the nutritionist will say, I want these macros, I want this level of protein, this level of fat, and this level of carbohydrate for this player on this day, because it changes every day. And what we do is we talk to the client, the footballer, invariably the footballer, and say to them, what would you like to eat? And they might say, oh, I'd like lasagna, or I'd like a fish curry, or I'd like a curried goat, or, you know, anything, Philly steak, you name it, they will come up with it.
Yeah.
And so then we build that meal according to the building blocks given to us by the nutritionist. And you can basically...
I want to emphasize how important this is, because that is what really drives what you do home, because you are able to take those nutrients that they need and turn it into the meal that they also want. Because I mean, it is so common, isn't it, that if a nutritionist says they need so many grams of protein, so much carbohydrate, it can really become repetitive. Chicken and rice and broccoli every single day. Yeah. You magically take those numbers and can manufacture your curried fish out of this and make it fit whatever those numbers are. Yes. That makes that athlete then want to be there and want to stick with that diet plan. And I don't like to call it a diet, but really that lifestyle, that method of eating.
Yeah, maybe call it a regime, because a regime is kind of like, that's one way of describing it. But yes, and quite often when you start cooking for an athlete, it's because we serve them at the table, nothing super grand, it's not Downton Abbey, but we just put the food nicely on the table, and the athlete will look up into your face and go, am I allowed to eat this? Because they're scared. It's such, without blowing my own trumpet, it's such nice food. They feel that it should be wrong, it should be not allowed, because it's great food. It's like, food should taste amazing, and you can make it
amazing, and you should want to eat it. It shouldn't be punishment, right?
Absolutely.
You need to learn how to live with food, whether you're an athlete or a non-athlete. Food can always be delicious. Just because it's good for you doesn't mean it's bland, it's something you don't want, it's something that actually tastes bad. I mean, how many people try to eat things that taste bad because they're good for them? Great example, apple cider vinegar. Do your athletes ever ask for apple cider vinegar?
Well, sometimes they do, but I persuade them that a bit of lemon juice would probably be better for them, better for their mouth.
And how about for incorporating it into the meal instead of doing a drink? Like,
absolutely,
right? Like you don't squeeze lemons out and have them drink it. You incorporate these things into their meals.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so something that I've said to you many times, and I think something that you've really chimed with you is often the control. If you're talking about calories, if you're talking about carbohydrates, talking about anything, often the control is portion control. Because
how do you manage that if it's a family style meal and the team and the players sitting down with their family members who maybe don't have the same restrictions? How can all these people sit at a table, share a meal together, but not really be partaking in the same food decisions or food behaviors? Well, how does this work?
Okay, so the way that I do this is I serve everything family style. So I'll serve platters of everything. And then if it's a low carb day for the player, I will put a portion, the right portion for them, beside them in a little bowl and say, this is your portion. And so say it's potatoes or say it's rice or say it's couscous, whatever. There will be their portion that the nutritionist has asked them to have beside them there. But there'll also be a platter for the family in the center of the table. So it's quite clear, this is what the nutritionist has asked you to have. But I always say, if you're having a starving day, if you really feel you need more, there's more, because this is not prison, this is not the gulag. It's about choice and it's about freedom. But if you see, this is what I've been asked to have, it's here, and there are plenty of other beautiful things for me to eat. It's just an encouragement, like, this is it. It's not telling anybody, it's not forcing anybody to do anything. And really, people are self-selective, because if someone's going to go to the time, effort and money of having a private chef, then they've already drunk the Kool-Aid, right? They're already saying, I'm on board with this project.
Tell me what you think is the most important piece of this, though, because I just want to get to the part about, like, having that experience, sitting around a table with your family. What you bring is that ability for then that player, that family, to share time together, because they're also not worried about putting this meal together. So they get to fully focus on each other. What does that do for their well-being?
That's a very good question. We cook. It's very interesting because we cook for clients who come from lots of different cultural backgrounds and lots of different nationalities. I have spent a lot of time living and working in France, French-speaking countries. We have a lot of clients who are French-speaking here in England, and I do think the French are very good at this. The French do respect the idea of sitting down at a table and it being almost like a sacred experience. It's a moment away from the rest of daily life. It's a moment to talk to each other. It's a moment to savor food. It's a moment to listen to each other. And I think that us Anglophones are maybe not as good at that. And we do eat when we're driving, and, eat at our desks, eat when we're taking the dog for a walk because we're starving. I'll just eat an apple quickly. We do all of those things. And I think that is very much to our detriment. I think to stop.
So I want to hear from your point of view, because of what you've seen living with or being with many different people from many different cultural backgrounds. What do you see? How do you see that changing the way somebody, acts in life or is able to participate in other experiences in life if they are not really, like, engaging in the eating process?
Well, that's quite a lot to unwrap. But what I would say is that if people are sitting and talking with each other, then they eat more slowly. I think they're more aware of the food and they discuss the food as they're eating it. Like, oh, this is a nice tomato.
So this mindless eating is not there.
Exactly. It's considered to be almost, if I say like a meditation, that's too strong an idea. But it's done with thought about the other people around the table. It's done with thought for the food, and I think that makes the food of higher value, of more worth, even though it might be exactly the same.
At least, could it feel that way to you? Could it just be that feeling of higher value? Not truly, but it just, you are respecting that experience, and therefore, there's something to be said about, you've heard about that French paradox, right? How the French, they eat croissants and they eat high fat food, and yet they're able to maintain weight better than other parts of the world. Could it be because they are more engaged with each other and with the meal?
Yes, I believe it could. The French are a very different culture from, if I say Anglophones, because that's not true either, because an American culture is slightly different from a British culture, which is different from a Canadian culture, which is different from a Jamaican culture. But okay, if we just compare the French and the English, that's a safer comparison, because then you're just two separate nations rather than all of Anglophones, which is massive. I think the English are more just generally sociable, in that they will have a bigger network of friends, whereas for the French, it's very much about family and immediate, very close friends who they've had since junior school, since grade school. And so therefore, a lot of time and effort and social time is spent with the family, whereas English-speaking people, I think, much less so. It's much more about friends, and family are just a kind of, accessory, really. They're an accessory to one's life.
But even so, I feel like in both of those examples that you just gave, you're just somehow connecting with others, as opposed to the alternative, which is what you mentioned before, eating alone, eating while you're walking the dog, eating when you are mindlessly eating, and you might even forget what you did eat and you didn't value what you ate at all because of the rush of it. So whether it's with family or friends or whatever, it's this experience with community, building some sort of friendships, bonds that adds to that's what food is supposed to be about, isn't it? That's what we're cooking for people.
I agree. And also it's interesting that in France, I would say people spend more money on food than people in England, in the UK. And therefore they value it. And it's the old classic thing of, you know, I'm not a girly girl, but people say that if they have a pair of Gucci shoes, they'll walk into the room and they're like, I own this room.
I don't know what you're talking about at all. At all. Not at all. What is Gucci? I have no concept of this.
Yeah. Okay. But I would say I'm not a girly girl, so I can just walk into any room and I don't care what shoes I'm wearing. I mean, I will try and, you know, fit in with what other people's expectations are of me to, you know, look like, but I don't particularly care about how I look. As long as I'm clean and tidy, I think that should be good enough. But anyway, I don't want to get into that kind of worms. So I won't go into a room and think, oh, I'm wearing Gucci shoes, I own this room. But I know there are plenty of people who do. And I think that if you pay, I don't know how much a pair of Gucci shoes are, say they're $1,000. I've got no idea.
Yeah. More than average.
Yes, more than average. And I think, and therefore people think I'm wearing these Gucci shoes, like, ta-da. And I think that's also true, that if you spend money on something, if you spend money on a beautiful chicken that costs you like $30 for a raw chicken in the butcher's, then you like value it and you think it's special. Whereas if you go to Costco and buy a raw chicken that is factory farmed for $3, $4, I don't know how much you can buy it for, then you've automatically got less respect for the whole system, for the food, for everything, which is kind of like me saying that by the time we're cooking for someone, they've already drunk the Kool-Aid. They are already believing it's an important thing to invest in, to pay the money to have a private chef, which is the same thing as the shoes, that, you know, you've paid the money for the high quality shoes, and therefore there's a result of like, I own this room. You've
convinced me. I need a private chef for sure.
It's either to have a private chef or to have the Gucci shoes.
One's already done, right? So let's just move on to chef world now. But seriously, I love that you're putting that into perspective that way, that people should value it. You know, we make decisions every day about where you're going to spend your money, and you spend your money about with the things that you value. So I think that's an incredible way to put it. I like it a lot. And valuing it just means that you give it this extra level of respect. And therefore, maybe the time isn't time respect, the time to sit with it, the time to really put good ingredients in there as well, right? You're not going to take this more expensive, higher end organic chicken and put ketchup on it, right? You're going to tell me, or might you? Tell me.
No, you see, I have a very, very relaxed attitude to all of these things. And ultimately, if people are eating 80% really good quality food, that 20%, we can all turn a blind eye to that. And equally, some of our clients are really young. They can be 18, 19, and they like to have everything covered in Nando sauce or barbecue sauce or ketchup. Now, if the only way for them to eat broccoli is for it to be covered in tomato ketchup, I'm not going to get upset about that. The win is eating the broccoli.
Okay. So you are a nutritionist at heart. That's what I'm hearing here. That's what I'm hearing here. Because that's exactly how I feel. You know, it's all about portion control. It's all about managing your likes and dislikes. You have to enjoy it, but you have to also make sure you're getting the right food into your body at the same time. So there's a way to do it. The 80 to 20, That's a good number. Those are good numbers to pick. We use that 80-20 rule a lot. Make 80% of your decisions more healthy and leave 20% for a little bit of fun, because food is supposed to be social, engaging, part of life. Like, it has so many more roles than just fuel, that it can't be so regimented like those nutrition plans that say so many grams of carbohydrate, so many grams of protein, so much grams of fat. And then you're just kind of like stuck in this regimen of repeat, because you don't know how to build a better meal.
Yes. Yeah. I would say that for people who might be stuck, there are lots of things that are free of calories. So grinding up pepper and putting that on something, that makes it taste better. Lemon juice, mustard, there's a whole load of stuff, rocket, basil, loads of things that can just, even if you are eating grilled chicken and rice, you can make that, and broccoli, of course, the classic, you can make that way more exciting. Or you make a stir fry, or you make a risotto. There's loads of things you can do with really simple ingredients to elevate them.
Let me bring this back to sitting around the table, sharing a meal with family and friends. And maybe let's think about that group that is buying the Costco chicken. So it is a less expensive, because maybe some people have to go with that chicken. How then can you have that same type of experience that we're talking about with this other type of chicken and making it on your own at home?
Good question. I can tell you how I invariably cook chicken at home or for clients. Would that be helpful?
Yes. And tell me what how that makes you feel. Like, that's really what I'm going after here. Like, what is the benefit of, despite the type of chicken, despite the ingredients that that are being used, but the act of sitting together and making that meal and taking the time out, how can you make that experience as elevated as a private chef bringing you the highest quality foods? Just experience.
Okay. I think it's to do with the buy-in of the people around the table. I mean, you can pretend it is a high-end chicken, and if it were a high-end chicken, how would you treat it? You'd treat it differently, right? So, and it's about calling people to the table, people coming to the table, people being engaged with each other, not just saying no devices at the table, but making it something that people actually want to put down their devices for. Why are we on our devices in the first place? Because we want to feel some sort of connection. We want to kind of show off. We want to take pictures of us being fabulous, and we want the recognition that we're fabulous, right?
Right.
That's the algorithm.
Right. And we need to take a picture of that fabulous chicken, even if we're pretending that it's fabulous.
Yes, exactly.
So let's just say that we get that out of the way. We do it, we take our pictures, we put them on Instagram, and then we can just be fabulous with each other. Maybe the idea is, let's just do it and get it over with, so then we can sit there and enjoy the meal.
But you think about, absolutely. But you think about, what is the algorithm for all social media? It is a chance to show off and a chance to be noticed, right?
So here's another element. How about the table setting? I mean, the difference between eating off of a paper plate or a china plate.
Yes, that's important. But what I was going to go on to say was, when you're sitting around the table, that is following the algorithm of the social media, everyone gets a chance to show off, and everyone gets a chance to get like the equivalent of likes, like the little heart thing. Then that is like social media brought to life. Like, or you could say that what social media is doing is copying the experience of being in a family, a small commune environment where people are talking to each other. So if you sit around the table and you allow everyone to, if I say show off, you know what I mean, everyone to, and also everyone to say, oh, that's really interesting. So how was that? Or how was that issue with your co-worker? You're a bit worried about talking about this, blah, 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 blah. And that is talked about and everyone's listening and engaged and people aren't like scrolling as you're chatting, then that is a great experience. And then that is something that people look forward to at the end of the day, because they know you can sit around the table, you can say one or two things that have been on your mind, get some feedback, get some encouragement from the other people sitting around the table. And also, as the person sitting around the table, when it's your turn to listen to other people, you say, oh, okay, I'm really glad that worked out for you. Well done, you. I know that was difficult for you.
Kind of like mindful therapy. It's therapy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, sticking with all of this theme, what hashtags would you use for one of a sit down, great meal that you've prepared and people are in conversation and getting all the benefits, whether it be the physiologic value of the food or the psychological value aspect of the environment? What are the buzzwords here?
Oh goodness, you've put me on the spot there.
Want me to start with one to like kind of
go on.
All right. So I would use, well, I'm gonna steal one of yours because I know that you use this one all the time. Do you know which one's coming?
No, I'm scared now.
You should be a little bit. Hashtag food porn.
Yeah.
Hashtag community. Hashtag food therapy.
I like it.
Go ahead.
Well, apparently I do say this a lot to children. I say sharing is caring.
Hashtag share a meal. That's what this is all about. Sharing a meal. Yes. Yeah. Sharing is caring. Keep going.
Well, no, when what children are like, you give something to one of them and I go, share it with your sister, blah, 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 blah. Of course, they don't share it with their sister. They're running around the table showing that they've got this thing and not deliberately not sharing it. And I always say to them, sharing is caring. But that is true for all of us. But also just, stopping and listening. That's also really important, to have that time in the day and to listen to people without it being, a judgmental tirade in response. Just like, just saying to people, well done, no matter what you did, you got through the day, we're all still standing, well done. And now this is our time to be together.
Encouragement, support.
Support. That is really important, because we've all seen that. We've all seen families sitting around tables not really talking to it. You go to a restaurant, you see a family sitting around a table not talking to each other, and you think, what's going on here? Why are you all here? Like, if you're not going to talk to each other.
So would you say you can build this into your day, make it routine to have this time to sit down, and maybe every time you do this, you get a little bit better at it, maybe that communication, and it just becomes part of your life, part of your lifestyle that can then enhance your lifestyle?
Absolutely. There's a lovely German expression, which I don't know it in German because my German's very poor, but I've got German friends and they always say to me, and they say it in English, you get more with sugar than you do with vinegar. Which basically means if you say nice things to people and encourage them, then you're going to get a better result than if you're just screaming at people.
Agreed.
And that is, if food on the table, if laying the table, sitting together at the table, or maybe sitting around the TV, I mean, not ideal, but sitting around the TV and eating, then that's, if the idea is that it's something where you're going to be positive, you're going to try and have a positive response to the people around you, then that's automatically a better environment to be in. We've all been in situations where we are stressed out, we're running for a train, or we're doing this or we're doing that. We either forget to eat or we eat without even knowing that we're eating something. And that is because I think we've got a whole load of stress going on in our stomachs and our brains are like not engaged with anything, and we're just trying to eat our feelings or deal with our stress, or we're just not aware of what's going on. But if we just can slow that all down and be in an environment that at the very least is neutral, and ideally positive to sit down and eat, then that just makes it so much better.
What better place to do this than with food?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's a built-in break in your day that we're not taking advantage of.
Well, yes, but most people don't have it as a break. It's just like a go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go, go, go.
I feel like that's what needs to shift. And you are able to provide it as a break with what you do for these players to allow them to have that, make it a break. I say, how does everybody get to bring this to their lives, this break, and sit around the table and have that communication and share a meal? That's what it's about, sharing a meal.
Yeah, and also like sharing thoughts and ideas. And I think what's also important in a family or a group of people who live in the same space, what is important is sharing the work. So it's a communal. The whole thing is a small but communal event.
Oh, I love that. That is such an important piece of this that I really overlook, but really coming together and doing this all because it's an event, isn't it? Yes. Making a meal. It's an event. You have to purchase all the ingredients. You have to then make the food. You need to set the table. Someone needs to clear the table. But all of these pieces can be used as, ways of talking with each other and
working together and understanding, that person actually doesn't mind doing that job. That other person hates doing that job. I wonder why they hate it. I wonder if I can just get them to do it just occasionally and tell them they're fabulous. You're fabulous for doing that.
What is your most hated job in the kitchen?
My most hated job in the kitchen is either cleaning out the fat vents above the stove, because then I just do it very regularly, so it never gets all greasy and fatty. So I just do it like all the time. I do it like every 10 days. Or it is it would be tidying up after. If I've been working really, really fast, because something unexpected has happened, like dinner has to be served earlier than planned, then what I don't like is if I've not been working cleanly, then at the end of the meal, like end of service, and having to tidy everything up, and just everything is everywhere, and I'm annoyed with myself that I've worked in such an unclean, unorganized manner. And then I'm also annoyed with myself that I actually have to clean up. So I don't mind cleaning up after myself when I've not been messy, but when I've been messy, I'm just like, no, don't like this. Don't like it at all. I'm gonna
do something with you. I'm gonna ask you a few questions, like really fast on the fly, that I just want you to answer with very quick, like 1-word answers if you can. But if you can, I understand that too. But you get the picture. Okay. What's your favorite meal to cook? I
can't answer that, because it's about how it's going.
You already didn't follow the rules. How did I know?
Well, you couldn't answer that in one word anyway. You could answer that in one word, and that would be lasagna or salad.
Right. You're a chef. You're a chef. I understand.
Okay. But you see, because I'm a professional, and I don't mean that like because I'm a professional. That for me, it's about how it's going to be received. So
you want to cook what someone wants to eat.
Exactly,
and that
because
makes you happy.
Yes, it's the same amount of effort for me to cook something that they're going to hate as it's going to be something that they love. So I'd rather cook the thing they're going to love.
Okay, I love that answer. Actually, I love that answer. Good job, Rachel. Next question. What is one of your favorite foods to eat? Can you answer
dairy,
that?
Dairy.
Cheese,
dairy.
Any dairy.
Dairy, all day dairy.
Did you eat dairy today?
Only about 4 times so far. I've got another like 6 portions of dairy planned. Plus, I'm drinking tea. I've got milk in my tea.
Okay, what else? Tell me one more thing.
I don't really like fruit, but I do really like a ripe mango, and a ripe mango with homemade yogurt.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
I could live on that.
As long as it's with the dairy, we're set. Like an apple with cheese. Is that like a better way to eat an apple?
I don't really like fruit. I'll only eat fruit if someone's cut it up and put it in front of me.
Oh, I do know this about you, Rachel. I know about your clementines in the car.
Yes. Vegetables all day long, could live on vegetables, no problem with vegetables at all. Fruit, it's just like, it's too complicated. It's like some sort of mind game to get into it.
So keep it simple. Keep it really simple.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Tell me, is there one other thing that you would want to send a message home to people who are watching this podcast about how to enjoy meals together?
I would say it's all about talking and listening. And listening's really important. They say, we've got 2 ears, 1 mouth. And that's roughly the ratio we should be doing things, twice as much listening as talking.
I love all these little sayings that you have. I'm going to remember them forever. Rachel, you're the best. Thank you for taking the time to talk about this with everybody here today.
It's my pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Lovely talking to you. Any excuse to talk to you. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure on this side too. Rachel and I always have grand plans for the future together. So we're still in the middle of making all of our future plans. But Rachel, thank you. Have a good rest of the day. It's probably like 4 o'clock around you right now.
Yeah, quarter to 4. Yeah, nearly time for tea.
Excellent. Rachel, thank you. I hope you have a great day and I hope you get to share a meal.
Okay. Thanks, Nyree.
Bye-bye.
Bye.